thanks again to Bass Players United for hosting this little video lesson. In part one, we talked about arpeggios and how to set up a little practice routine for yourself, practicing the arpeggios in root position and all inversions over some changes. We did blue and green. I'll continue on the blue and green theme and talk about some of the chords you may see. Now, a lot of chords you see will have numbers greater than 7 in them, and some of you may be wondering what that means. Think of it this way: there's 7 notes in the scale. Any note over 7 means it's to be played higher in register. So if you subtract 7 from the number, you actually get the scale degree. So if you see a 9, for example, subtract 7, you get 2. Means it's the second degree of the scale, but played an octave higher. If you visualize the scale written 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and continue 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, you get all the notes of the scale over 2 octaves, 9 being the second degree of the scale, 11 minus 7 is the 4th degree, 13 minus 7, the 6th degree of the scale. So basically, it's almost like you're building a scale in thirds. You're going 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13. And this kind of leads into what people are talking about when they talk about chord scales. Chord scales are basically exactly that. Building a scale off of what that specific chord is telling you to do, instead of thinking, oh, this tune is in this key, this tune is in that key. Kind of taking it on a chord by chord basis. For example, if we see the first chord in blue and green, in this book the changes vary. Some books have it as G minor. In this book it's a B flat major 7 sharp 11. So some of you may know you would play Lydian over that. But why? Well, we have B flat major 7, and it's a 1, 3, 5, 7. And if we continue the scale in thirds from there, we get a natural 9, and then the sharp 11, subtract 7 from 11, you get 4. It's saying put a sharp 4 in that major scale. So if instead of playing the whole thing in thirds, we just play it as a scale, we get root, the second or the 9, the third, sharp 4, 5, natural 6, major 7, and octave. That's the Lydian mode. So if we do that on a scale by scale basis, and a chord by chord basis, sorry, the next chord, A7 sharp 9. That's an A dominant, but it's saying that second degree of the scale, 9 minus 7 is 2, is sharped. Second, sharp second, it's the same as a flat third. So it's almost like you have a flat 3 and a major 3 with no second. That's why you can actually get away with playing major or minor over that chords, depending on how the piano player is voicing it or the guitar player. But it's got both the major and the minor third in it, harmonically speaking. Another chord in there you see is A7 flat 13. So what's that telling you? That's telling you there's an A mixolydian dominant, major with the flat 7, but then the flat 13. 13 minus 7 is 6, flat 6. We get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, flat 6, flat 7 because it's dominant, right? And that would be the chord scale for that chord. That also happens to be the 5th mode of melodic minor, that mixolydian flat 6. Then I encourage you learning all of your modes for all of your scales and practice them just like your arpeggios in root position, starting from the second, starting from the third. That's what gives you the modes. But then practice each pattern in broken thirds, broken sixths, and so on. You really, like I said in the first part one, you really want to drill this stuff so it's somewhat second nature. You don't have time to think about this stuff when you're playing over a tune. It's all happening in real time. You can't stop and do the math on paper. So you need to be able to look at a chord symbol, immediately recognize what it's telling you, look at where you are on the bass and assess where you are, how you want to get there, and the most musical way to do it. All kind of like that. So that's why it's really important that you repetition in your practice. Drill this stuff every day. As boring as it may seem, arpeggios, the scales, all of that, just get it under your fingers so you can just look at a set of changes and do that like I just did it. So let's experiment a little bit. Let's say we have this tune, Blue and Green. We've been practicing our arpeggios and we've gotten pretty comfortable. Now we're starting to explore our chord scales, and basically we have the arpeggio notes. That's 4 of the 7 notes in a scale. Now we're taking the regular scale tones, the non-arpeggio notes, and figuring out what to do with those. Let's put it all together. So initially I would say don't worry about practicing in time, just take it on a chord by chord basis, and as you continue to do it, you'll get faster and faster and faster at it. And I also suggest that you change tunes often. Don't just memorize one tune and get all this stuff down over one tune, and then somebody throws a different tune in front of you and you have no idea what to do. So keep yourself working. If you're not guessing and making mistakes and screwing up, you're not really practicing. You're reinforcing knowledge, you're working your fingers, but you're not really practicing. You got to be thinking hard to be practicing. So keep the tunes changing, flip through the book, find a tune you don't know, and start practicing over that. As soon as you get to know that too well, move to a new tune. That's what I do anyway. So let's take Blue and Green on a chord by chord basis and build our chord scales. B flat major 7 sharp 11, first chord. Scale over that. Chord still is B flat major 7 with a sharp 11. That's a sharp 4. 1, 2, 3, sharp 4, 5, 6, natural 7, octave. Like I said, I can't talk and play at the same time. A7 sharp 9. A sharp 9, major 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, flat 7, root. D minor 7, 9 in parentheses, so basically D minor 9. So that's just basically going to be a D minor. Now a lot of jazz pianists and guitarists will voice minor chords with a natural 6th. That makes it Dorian, so you can kind of interchange the scales. Dorian is minor with a natural 6th. So either one. D flat 7. C minor 7. F7 flat 9. So it's F mixolydian with a flat 9. Gives it that kind of exotic sound. B flat major 7 again. A7 flat 13. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Flat 6. Flat 7. Root. D minor 6. So if you're playing the arpeggio on a 6th chord, you'd replace the 7th with the 6th of the scale. But since we're playing chord scales, it's essentially just going to be minor. If you're playing the arpeggio, you might want to go 1, flat 3, 5. And it's just minor 6, not minor flat 6. So natural 6, that's Dorian. 1, flat 3, 5, natural 6, octave. So for our chord scale, we'll play Dorian there. E7 sharp 9. Again, it's root, sharp 2, natural 3, 4, 5, 6, flat 7. A minor 7. And D minor 9. And that's the whole progression. Sounds like it. the voicings are only going to get so fancy for that. But that's the sound of it. And then I have a folder of MIDI files of every real book tune. I also use this iRealBook app on my iPad that has a play along thing. Once you start to get your hands around some of these tunes, it's great to do them in context. It also forces you to do it in time and in real time. So download a recording of a tune from iTunes, search around, find one you like. John Fremgen has a really nice one that sounds really good, and it's kind of a medium tempo thing. This tune is typically recorded really slow, so sometimes I like working on a medium tempo to get thinking about the changes. Likewise, with up-tempo tunes like Giant Steps, I love practicing the Pat Metheny's version because it's a medium tempo bossa. So I find the tunes that I like that I want to play with and experiment with those, and then once I get comfortable with the tune, I change the context and we'll try and play it in a different way or in a different style. So find versions of these tunes, or if you have Band in the Box, put in the changes and play along to Band in the Box. Find some way to shed these. Keyboard player, have them come over, give them a list of tunes you want to work on, and you guys just shed the stuff together. So great, I hope that's helpful. Part 1, arpeggios, into Part 2, turning those into chord scales. Have fun, write them out if you need to, until you can get them under your fingers. Write out all the scales, write out all the notes for every chord in the tune. Do whatever you need to do to get your mind working around it and understanding it. You're practicing, so it should be hard, and you should be working through the process, but you don't want to be lost and just confused. So break it down to as simple as a chunk as you need to, and just work on it until you get it. And with everything you learn, the next thing becomes easier to understand, and it just starts to grow exponentially. So there you are, lesson. Sorry I didn't do a whole lot of playing, but I really wanted to explain the concepts, because once you have all this stuff under your fingers and it's second nature, then it's just all a matter of creativity and how musically you can tie these things together. This is all an analytical way of looking at it. In the end, it's got to sound good. So don't forget that you're making music. Practice hard. Think hard about this stuff. Get it under your fingers. And then once you have it under your fingers, then you don't need to think about it so much, and you can spend more brain energy listening to what you're playing. So right on. Hope that helps. Thanks for watching.